DeSoto Reviews proudly presents Automotive Advent, a Christmas carol. Welcome everyone to a series of 12 Did You Know short story videos as a gift from me to you for the holidays. Merry Christmas everyone, and enjoy.
Chrysler Corporation, where you get the good things first.
By the late 1950s, the Chrysler Corporation had a finely tuned lineup of car brands, each operating at a different price level. This setup was more or less modeled after General Motors and was also trying to compete with GM and Ford. You'd start with a humble Plymouth, one of the so-called low-price three. Then you could get a mid-market Dodge. Next up was a upper-middle-class DeSoto, followed by entry-level luxury Chrysler, and finally at the top, the luxurious Imperial. But by the late 1950s, dark clouds formed over Chrysler. Chrysler was renowned for its solid engineering and quality until the forward-look models of the late 1950s. Although beautiful, they had numerous quality problems and bad fit and finishing, hurting the Chrysler name. And then there was the recession of 1958, which especially hurt mid-level brands like Dodge and DeSoto. And after initial styling success of the forward look, Chrysler completely lost it, creating one space-age downsized monstrosity after another. And in this terrible environment, it was getting real tough for the DeSoto division to remain relevant. Dodge was eating up the sales of the lower price models, and Chrysler was taking over the sales of the higher price models. There was too much overlap in the models and price points for DeSoto to really distinguish itself from the rest. By 1960, Chrysler management decided to pull the plug out of DeSoto. By then, DeSoto was nothing more than a slightly reworked Chrysler. The next year, 1961, DeSoto was reduced to simply one model, called DeSoto. So yeah, no trim lines or model names, just one car, DeSoto. Kinda like how Chrysler only sells one car these days. The DeSoto of 61 was once again a slightly reworked Chrysler with questionable styling to say the least. After 1961, the DeSoto dream was over. Or was it? Enter the overseas shenanigans many American car companies pulled off, including Chrysler. In some export markets, companies like Chrysler would shuffle around their model names and trim lines for their American models. Think of the so-called Canadian Plodges, cars that were a mix of Dodge and Plymouth body parts. Well, over in South Africa, DeSoto was given a second lease on life. Around the time the brand was discontinued in the US, Chrysler established a new brand, Valiant. The Valiant was Chrysler's attempt at making an American-sized compact car. And as it was seen in the US as a bare-bone economy car, in the rest of the world it was seen as a fairly large and attractive vehicle, coming with a 6-cylinder engine and an automatic transmission. And so Chrysler sold the Valiant and its derivatives under various names all over the world, including South Africa, where the cars were sold as the DeSoto Rebel, a rebadged version of the Dodge Lancer, which in their turn was a variant of the Valiant. The DeSoto Rebel would remain in production in South Africa until 1963 or 64, and was sold alongside another DeSoto model, the Diplomat, which was a rebadged Dodge model. But that's not everything. In other markets, Chrysler decided to enter the freight truck business under the DeSoto name. In the US, much of these trucks were built under the Dodge and Fargo name, only to be rebadged to DeSoto in export markets, mostly in Central and South America. And then there is the Turkish connection. Although information is limited, until the 1970s or 80s, a Turkish truck manufacturer was granted permission by Chrysler to use the DeSoto name on their trucks, although the trucks didn't really have anything to do with Chrysler or DeSoto. So, next time you think of DeSoto that ended in 1961, you're wrong, because somewhere in Turkey it lasted until, what, 1984?
Ho, 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 ho.